Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reddify, the channel where we explore the most intriguing and emotional stories from Reddit. In today's video, we have 4 fascinating stories ranging from moral dilemmas to family conflicts and acts of compassion. Get ready to dive into these stories and find out if these people are truly guilty or just misunderstood. Let's go! Our first story comes from the subreddit AITAH, where user ExcellentYard3760 shares a complex moral dilemma. She received a large amount of expensive items from a friend after a breakup and, by selling them, became addicted to making money. Now, she finds herself lying to others and to herself, claiming to be doing charity. Let's find out more about this intriguing story. People of Reddit help. There's no therapy here to seek advice from the place where I'm from, so I'm asking y'all for advice on how to process my feeling on this matter. I grow up poor, and I'm still poor, but I do love money so much I'd sell my organ for it if someone willing to buy. Recently, I have a friend who's over 30, pretty much older than me. Recently, they broke up with their partner and throw away all of their stuff to me, and holy shit, it's a whole mountain of expensive shy I have never seen in my life. Some of them are worth like crazy. A lizard shoe 1K, a jacket to K, ... It goes on and on. Now back to this week, I have sold a bunch of their stuff, and I get rich from it. I think I made 6K just from selling a small piece of it. But then I started to have a weird feeling inside of me. It's like addicting to make money. I feel suffocating if I don't earn more money. But just today, less and less people were buying the stuff from me. I feel like I can't stay still and wait for people to buy them. So I made a stupid decision to sell everything for at a real cheap price. I sold tons of shit and make a total of 1.5K. But I'm not happy at all. I would have made more than 6,000 if I sell them in their real price. I don't feel so good because I lost the money that's supposed to be mine. I've been feeling unwell. So I've been trying to cope myself by saying I'm doing charity. I told my friends I do give away stuff because it ain't mine to begin with. Lie. I'm telling people I want to share the stuff to the people who's in need while in fact I'm just hungry for more money. My friends didn't know those people pay me real cash. Y'all can judge me all you want, but I honestly can't face the feeling of losing money. It hurts so fkin much I would rather lie to people and lie to myself. At least I'm in less pain RN because I successfully gaslight myself into thinking I'm doing a good deed. So this situation is really complicated. On one hand, the user is trying to justify her actions as charity, but in reality, she's just trying to deal with the loss of a financial opportunity. It shows how need and financial pressure can lead people to make impulsive and sometimes questionable decisions. It's interesting how she tries to convince herself that she's doing a greater good, even knowing it's a lie. Maybe this is a way for her to deal with the guilt and regret of not maximizing her profits. What do you think? Is she wrong for trying to deceive herself in this way? Our second story also comes from the AITAH subreddit and was posted by user Mitskima Savior. She shares an emotional conflict with her father involving her eating disorder and his lack of understanding of her condition. This story touches on sensitive topics like mental health and complicated family relationships. Let's find out more about this story. I, 17F, had a huge fight with my dad yesterday. For context, I have been dealing with an eating disorder, an endless cycle of restricting and binging for a while, but it has got worse this year due to a lot of personal reasons that aren't really related to my parents' dad in particular, and most likely have ARFID. For those who aren't familiar with the last term, it basically refers to an eating disorder that makes me very selective about food. It is more than just being a picky eater. I literally puke whenever I eat something that's not safe, whether it's because of their texture or smell. And I think it's worth mentioning that I am neurodivergent, thus my sensory issues regarding food. My mom tries her best with me as she knows that it's not something I can control, whereas my dad considers it me being overly sensitive and picky, which really hurts my feelings. But nevertheless, I understand that having a neurodivergent kid is hard on parents, especially in a country like mine, where there's little to no awareness about it. Sorry for the very long context, but I think it's very important to know before actually diving in what happened yesterday. I didn't eat anything yesterday as I didn't have any safe food at my grandma's, not because I was restricting, so at around 8 p.m. I asked him if he could go to my safe restaurant to get me something. He didn't seem really happy about it and threw a tantrum at home over how I am ruining my health and destroying my body, which I completely understand because he wasn't lying. Maybe the way he was expressing himself wasn't right as he was screaming and shouting at me very loudly. But I understood that he was just worried about me and my well-being like any other parent. Nevertheless, we went only to find it closed. I was pretty much disappointed but didn't mind. I was just going to get back home and force myself to eat whatever just to not faint. He wasn't really happy about it and started screaming at me again about how I am spoiled and wish I was like other kids. I respectfully asked him to stop screaming and just take me back home. He refused and the screaming only got worse. My sensory issues are really bad. So I started crying and begged him to at least stop screaming. I didn't mind being scolded, I just wanted him to stop screaming at me. Again, he refused, stating that he needs to give me a real reason to cry over, and continued shouting, which made me frustrated, and I shouted, "You're a horrible person." No dad is like this with their kid. I immediately realized that it wasn't my brightest idea, as he only grew angrier and told me about how much he wished I wasn't like this and how I am the worst daughter known to mankind for talking back at him. I remained silent because I was honestly just so overstimulated. He then started praying for him to die and how he wished he did when he had a heart attack last year, which made me angry because I was the one by his side the whole time. Just typing this makes me feel so sad because of how stupid it is. Nothing explains a parent telling their kid how much they wish they died so they would feel guilty for the rest of their life. My mom confessed to me that she tried getting him into therapy as his anger issues are not normal and are just getting worse. However, he refused. So when I came back home, she took my side as it's not our first fight, again told him that he needs to work on whatever issues he has going on and that she won't let them traumatize her kids. With that being said, he has been giving us, mainly me, the silent treatment as he told me to not speak to him ever again. I have no one to talk to about this. Please be honest and tell me if I'm the asshole. I just feel so lost and tired. I know that my neurodivergence makes me see situations very differently, but I just can't see how my dad's reaction and words are explainable. Thank you for reading. So sorry this is very long. This story is deeply moving and shows the complexity of family relationships, especially when mental health is involved. The user is dealing with a severe eating disorder, and her father's lack of understanding only makes the situation worse. It's clear he's concerned, but the way he expresses that concern is harmful. Her mother seems to be an important support, but the father's resistance to therapy is a major obstacle. This kind of situation can be extremely isolating for someone so young, especially when there aren't many people around to understand or help. What do you think? Is she wrong for reacting this way to her father's behavior? Our third story comes from the subreddit Oida and was posted by user CloseCharge715. She is dealing with a difficult situation involving her mother-in-law, who seems to be deliberately excluding her from important family events. This has led to feelings of hurt and exclusion, and she is seeking advice on how to handle this situation. Let's find out more about this story. Me, 37F, and my partner, 44 meters, have been together for 5 years. His family don't live close, maybe 200 miles away, so he doesn't see them too often, and will sometimes he travel alone to go visit. However, this will be the second year in a row that his mother hasn't invited me or my son on holidays or Christmas. Partner ends up going alone without me. He's about to go away for 10 days with his mom and sister, and I have purposely not been invited. I know this because he basically told after a glass of wine to many, Ida, for bringing it up and explaining to him that I feel very intentionally excluded. Whenever I've interacted or spent time with his mother, we've got along fine. She's quite overbearing and gives the impression that she wants him all to herself. She once told him that he'll have to move to be closer to her when she's older to look after her, despite his sister living less than 2 miles away from her, with or without me. I have mentioned to Mayo that it's quite hurtful, especially since any family events of mine, he always invited to. It feels very high school, and I'm finding it upsetting TBH. This situation is quite delicate and painful. The user is dealing with a mother-in-law who clearly doesn't fully accept her, causing a rift in her relationship. It's understandable that she feels excluded and hurt, especially when her partner doesn't seem to be doing much to mediate the situation. Talking about it with her partner is crucial, as he needs to understand how this exclusion affects her and work with her to find a solution. What do you think? Is she wrong for bringing up her feelings of exclusion to her partner? Our fourth and final story also comes from the subreddit Oida and was posted by user LizardTief. It narrates a situation where the author found a kitten neglected by his neighbors and decided to find a new home for it, facing resistance from the neighbors. This story touches on issues of compassion and responsibility. Let's find out more about this story. My neighbors brought a kitten home that they apparently rescued from being killed by their mother's dog. Once they got the kitten home, they just let it out in their yard. The kitten, obviously terrified and confused, ran from them and got into my shed. I was outside taking care of some stuff when the wife came over and told me that the kitten was in my shed and apologized. I offered to retrieve the kitten from my shed for them, but she seemed indifferent and explained that she didn't really care if it ran off and that the kitten was safer in our neighborhood than at her mom's house because of the dog. I was a little irritated by that response, but shrugged it off because I didn't want to get into an argument with her. I left my shed door open that night, assuming the kitten would leave eventually on its own, but it didn't. The next day, I found the kitten in my shed and put it back in their yard. The next 2 days, the kitten cried outside relentlessly, non-stop, and despite not being a cat person, it got to me, and I felt bad. I opened my shed that night, and sure enough, the next day, it was back in there hiding in the same spot. The kitten is malnourished, and its left eye is sealed shut and oozing, clearly infected. It needed to go to vet, and it was clear my neighbors weren't going to do it. I gave the kitten some food and water and spent the day trying to find someone to take it who could give it the care it needed. Eventually, I found someone and I planned to bring the kitten to them the next day, but apparently after it being out there for 4 days crying non-stop, my neighbors suddenly gave a shit about the kitten, and when they saw me taking it to my car, they freaked out because they had just bought it some food. I'm not really a confrontational person, but I just snapped. I pointed out that the kitten has been out here crying non-stop for 4 days and needs a vet. I pointed out how the wife even said she didn't really care about the kitten and said, I don't care if just runs away. They threatened to call the cops on me and demanded I pay them back for the cat food, which was the only thing they seemed to care about. I refused to pay them and told them they could just return the cat food. They wouldn't listen to reason and just continued to threaten me with the police. I ignored them, got in my car, and took the kitten to someone I genuinely believe will give the kitten the care it needs. I now feel slightly conflicted, like maybe I acted too quickly taking the kitten away, but then again the wife did say she didn't care if it ran off. Police still haven't showed up at my house, and I doubt they will. I have no idea if I could get in trouble legally for what I did, but I feel like I did the right thing. What do y'all think? TLDR, neighbors brought home a kitten and proceeded to let it cry and starve for 4 days, but went crazy on me when I attempted to help it. This story brings up the issue of responsibility and compassion for animals. The author clearly cared about the kitten's well-being, while his neighbors neglected it. While he may have acted impulsively by taking the kitten away, his actions were motivated by a desire to ensure the animal received the necessary care. The neighbor's reaction shows a lack of responsibility and empathy. Do you think he acted correctly by taking the initiative to help the kitten, even though it caused a conflict with the neighbors? And that's it for today's video, folks. I hope you enjoyed the stories and the analyses. Leave in the comments what you think about each situation. Do you agree with the actions of these people? And if you've experienced something similar, share your story with us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Redify channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos, and give a like if you enjoyed the content. See you next time.